I'm Brandon.
And I'm Jesse.
We're Cannabis School. Having cannabis-infused conversations
With everyday people,
cannabis companies,
celebrities,
and your mom.
welcome
To the sesh.
We wanted to bring you here today because you're one of the most chill Utah budtenders I've ever met.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, dude, because it's a different feel. And what I mean by that is I go to we've gone to dispensaries everywhere. And there's a certain type of budtender that you meet that you're like, man, this is a perfect person. Like when I go there and you're not there, I'm like, fuck, who do I go to? Because you're my guy, right? If we were like mobsters in like Chicago's over there, like, yeah, I only eat if Tommy's over there behind the grill. And they're like, no, he's out today. Then I don't fucking eat here. I mean, that's exactly how I'm thinking. And that's where I'm like, all right, I guess so. And if I see they're new, I'm like, oh no.
Like, oh shit.
Got the training and I'm like, fuck, I'm going to ask you questions. I just want to. But even then, always at the dispensary you work at, I don't see that.
Yeah.
I don't get that same feel that I get when I go into a Curaleaf. I've shit on Curaleaf quite a few times in here. Yeah, so you were saying it's corporate cannabis. What's corporate cannabis?
Just, it's like the big pharma of cannabis. They're trying to profit off of it from every angle they possibly can.
And they don't care who they hire on that one.
They don't care about the patients. They just care about profits. Selling dry, moldy cannabis and for exorbitant prices.
Have we seen mold in Utah flower recently?
Putting one of the biggest names in Utah's cannabis industry on blast. I personally know people who have done the cultivation and they've told me that every single one of their plants has mold in them and that they just tell them to trim around it.
Wow. That's horrible. I don't think I've actually smoked any of flower.
Oh, cool thing about this
Oh,
bong. Yeah, we didn't tell you.
George Jetson's, so
Just leave
most
the bowl.
bongs, you pull the bowl out, but do you see the white part? It pushes down. And that's how you
And
clear
that
the
clears
jig.
it. It's way smoother than what you just did. It's crazy.
Oh. I'm still rolling a little.
Not nice because it's a good force. Are we?
We're rolling.
Are we? Do we have enough? In there?
Well, that
Do I
was
need to reload
Your
that?
gelato face-off one.
Yeah.
He might be
That was
mostly
very
burnt.
smooth.
Yeah, gelato face-off is so good.
Oh, that's a little nice stash box.
Yeah.
Who makes that one?
I got it for $13 at Harbor Freight Co.
Get
Holy
the
shit.
fuck out of here!
Is
What?
it like smell proof?
I mean, I just use
Is
it
it-
for my peak, so
Oh,
I mean,
okay.
all the jars are already smell proof already.
Yeah.
So you
but-
just cut in?
That's
Yep,
fantastic.
It holds everything. I've got an ISO jar in here. I've got my wax. I've got my Q-tips. I've got my rig.
Dude, we'll have to get a shot of that. We'll take some images of that and we'll show everybody like your rig. Is that cool? Because that's a really
please.
cool idea. Because
Yeah. Well, he was telling us about it right before because you do dry hits with your dab rig.
Mm-hmm.
You want to tell us a
Exactly.
little bit more about
Yeah.
what you found, the reason, like,
Totally. So I'll say what I said to y'all and then go a little further. So with concentrates specifically, when you hit your cannabis through water, you lose terpenes just
you were saying it's
by-
water
Yeah,
soluble.
what terpenes are water soluble, so you lose them when you hit them through water. So when you take a dry top, especially with something like a concentrate where that terpene content is much higher, you're losing so much of that effect just by hitting it through water. So when you're hitting it dry, you're keeping all those terpenes in your hit and into your lungs. And I feel like it just gives me a much more robust, potent, full body medicated effect versus just like a high.
Well, you
you
get
know.
the entourage effect
Yes.
versus stripping it of probably even more cannabinoids.
Exactly.
Because
Well,
if you're washing it, you're pulling out stuff.
Yeah.
You know, even though
Totally.
you might get carcinogens that it's clearing out if you're, well, maybe not with, your concentrate, hopefully, but
Yeah.
at least with your flower, maybe there's carcinogens when you burn it, but same thing, your terpenes, if they're going through that,
Totally.
be way different.
Absolutely.
Huh.
So how's that pull though? Is it harsh?
No, it's perfect. I even find it to be smoother than water most of the time. A lot of it's going to come down to what you're dabbing in terms of smoothness, honestly. But I prefer to take my dabs lower anyway. Like 450 is about the perfect spot for me.
Wow.
For rosin at least. For resins, I'll go up to about 475. But Even with water, I'd hit it at like 465. I feel like the water just it agitates my throat for some reason.
Interesting.
Yeah, I find that same thing. Like
Yeah.
every once in a while, like I'm just like, ugh.
Hmm.
Like that. It's like you found out you were snoring the night before because your throat's a little sore. That's how it feels. Like that's the first time. Like, oh, when I cough through that, that makes a lot of sense. Like I don't cough as much with a bong as I do with that because I've got that Utilian, which I love. That it's a awesome little dab rig. I was gonna bring it. Fuck, I was gonna show you, dude. But pull that out again. Let's kind of talk about that. I mean, this is an indirect commercial for Puffco, but I'll tell you, man, it's like really cool. Pull it out, man.
Okay. Yeah,
This?
here, I'll pull out a jar and my hot knife.
Yeah, let's see that the hot
Ooh.
knife. Okay, so tell me about hot knives. Like, is it hype or is it help?
I love it.
Okay, why?
So I pretty much only dab batters, and that's a really sticky substance. I
Yeah.
don't want to just wipe it on the inside of my bowl and lose, 25% of it on my dabber. Versus with a hot knife, I just go up in there, and drop it right in. I mean, I'll show y'all.
Dude, that's cool.
This is a Zealier face from Sugar Magnolia Farms.
Oh, this is the one you were
Oh.
telling me about.
Mhm.
Is that a local grow?
No.
Okay.
No, this is from a hash bash in California.
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah.
So how long have you been in cannabis then? Now.
I've been in cannabis for a year, but that's just kind of like a somebody type of
As a
event.
consumer or just like...
I've been consuming since I was like 13.
Oh, shit,
So
man.
yeah.
And
like,
are you a local in Utah?
I grew up in Texas.
You grew up in Texas. Where in Texas?
Dallas, Texas.
Get the fuck out of here.
Yeah.
What the hell
That's
brought you
wild.
here?
I don't like Texas, and I do like mountains.
Yeah, I support that.
That's true, yeah. I mean, it's cool to have different seasons and not just flat.
Yeah.
And
Every time going down to Texas, it's like
Ah,
you can look and see as far as your eye will see, and you're like, oh, shit.
yeah, it's I don't know. That's really cool. So you've been smoking since you're 13. So
Yes.
Man.
what's been I know you gradually progressed. I mean, I could tell you my progression, but what was yours? And you started out with flower, of course.
I remember smoking joints in my bathroom. the very
Wow.
first thing.
Those are still stinky, though. Like, joints, I feel like, are a really brutal way to start.
Dude, I
got
gotta
caught
tell you,
about a month in.
Yeah. Yeah.
dude, my son, like, if I wasn't involved in cannabis, my wife would think it was a skunk outside. But she was downstairs just a little
Oh,
while
that's
ago. That's
fantastic.
cool.
Yeah. Isn't that really nifty?
Yeah.
Oh, that's so
I
much
like
better
that.
than wiping it off.
How fast does it cool off?
Pretty much immediately. I mean,
Oh. Okay. My thing, I just wondered, like, how long till you can scoop a new dab, or it's like really hot and hard to scoop it
I
on
can
it, or
scoop
that.
another
but
right now if I wanted.
that's really cool. Huh.
I'll heat this up for y'all.
Oh, so
Love
it
the
goes
apps.
to the apps.
Because if you
Yep.
do the app, you can get specific temperature based.
Mhm.
So versus, I think it's just
That's cool.
preset heat. ones.
Exactly. Yeah,
Yeah.
with the normal peak, it's 4 preset heat settings, and with this one, I have full custom temperature control from 400 to 600 degrees.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Dude,
Yeah.
that's way cool.
For
I
someone-
do wish I had that part of it because the Dr. Dabber Switch, maybe mine's the oldest one or older one. Ah, I love how it lights up too.
Here, Brandon.
Oh wait, here, hold on.
I'll have Brandon.
I forgot to put a terp pearl in.
That's okay. Gotta love those terp pearls. So you've been bud tending then?
For a year.
About a year then.
Yes.
Did you?
9 months. At this
Okay. Did you start at Dragonfly?
Yes, I did.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Um,
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
what's that? I mean,
Was that your first introduction into the cannabis industry?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm only 21 years old, so I've
Oh,
only been able to
shoot.
be in the cannabis industry for about 11 months at this point. I turned 22 in October.
That's wild.
fucking A.
So I mean, I got in just about as soon as I possibly could. I got my med card the morning of my 21st birthday, and then applied to Dragonfly about 2 months later.
Hell yeah. How was that
Yeah.
process?
How was that? Like,
It was definitely interesting. Utah's got some really, weird rules, obviously, when it comes to
What were some of the
cannabis.
weirdest things you ran into in your application process?
I figure a background check would probably be pretty standard
Yeah.
anywhere when you're working with cannabis because it is still federally illegal. But I mean, I don't know. I've only ever worked in the cannabis industry in Utah.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was the first job I've ever had to get fingerprinted for. First job I've ever had to get a background test for. Um, just learning a lot of like the the interesting terminology, like dispensary. I mean, sorry, pharmacy over dispensary, patient over customer.
Interesting.
Um,
Okay. Yeah.
and then learning all of Utah's weird laws, like
Yeah.
You would know
the
that. I mean, you have to.
vaporization law,
The what?
the vapor law. You can't
No
burn
flame
your
to flower. Yeah.
And do you know the meaning behind that, or
I mean, as far as I know, it's just they don't
Here,
want
do
you
first.
inhaling smoke.
Yeah.
so they're trying to protect us
Yeah,
by being
Does
ridiculous?
it vibrate?
yeah, it'll
Okay,
vibrate when it's
okay.
ready.
I was like, I know some vibrate, some just change color to like
Yep.
a certain color. So-
You know, that sounds like a good night right there. Some vibrate, some change colors.
I feel like I'm playing PlayStation over here.
Right?
Yeah, playing with something, that's for sure.
Just the tip.
Just a tip. Just that's cool.
Got him.
I'm a cougher through and through. I cough my
Same.
lungs out.
Especially
Well,
with
that's
dabs.
That's a really nice flavor.
Oh, it's very tasty. Oh.
That's one of the things that I love about good concentrates, like the Tropicana cherries that we did.
Mhm.
Oh my gosh, that tasted like Hawaiian punch. Amazing. And that's the cool thing. Like, you know, currently right now, I mean, we're going to do a review on it, but apples and bananas, have you partaken?
I haven't yet.
Dude, I'm going to tell you right now, that shit is awesome. Because when you're smoking it through a vaporizer, you taste red delicious apples,
Mm-hmm.
and then about halfway through, you're tasting bananas.
That's awesome. I get the banana on the nose for sure.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So-
Have you had any of the apple fritter?
No.
Yeah.
Okay, I have some apple fritter with me, and I feel like you really get those cinnamon apple notes.
Oh
On
what?
the flower, even
That's
through like
fa-
I mean,
Apple fritters, that's
even
where
on
it's
a
at.
long hit, you
Yeah.
really get the apples.
Cuz that's I mean, and there's something about that. Like it's not it just kind of gives my brain like, yeah, dude, we're just going to hang.
Mm-hmm.
We're just going to hang. You know, I don't got to get shit done. I got to do any of that. I just need to get going on. Dude, Brandon, he is just like you. He's just like very
Loading up the next
meticulous. Yeah, no, just see, I usually am, especially with mine. I got a Utilian 8. It's pretty cool. It's funny because they have this magnetic sleeve,
Yeah.
and
Just
it's
about.
yeah, and it's a decent size strength of that one. But what I used to do, I was go and smoke in my garage in my last house, and then I would set it down on my wife's car, and then I put it on the hood, and I thought it was going to slide off, and I went to go catch it,
Stuck right to
and it just thunk. I'm like, that's cool.
Yeah.
So just like,
Man.
boom. But I like that little button thing at the top.
I do too.
Isn't that
That's
nice?
I think it's
Yeah.
so
Fucking
entertaining.
cool.
It's called the joystick cap.
Oh,
For obvious reason.
Yeah.
Right?
yeah. It
I'm
feels like an
guessing it's
analog
just
stick.
like the top to help the airflow and
Mhm.
stuff. Yeah.
Wow.
That's the funniest thing.
Dude, the hot knife sounds like a really cool toy. I would love that. That's so
yeah.
cool.
Do you want to do it?
No. I'm good. I'm feeling it right now.
That was a nice addition.
That's a
yeah.
nice addition.
What strain was that again?
Zeal Your Face to cross of Skittles and Face Off OG.
Oh, hell yeah.
That's
We
cool.
just
More
did,
face off. Yeah, we're doing.
Gelato Face Off, which
Oh,
is Face Off
nice.
OG and
Yeah.
Gelato.
Yeah, it pairs nicely then.
Yeah, it pairs really well. That's a cool thing too. Adding a familiar terpene profile into that. That was the last one we just smoked. That's
2 Face Offs.
yeah,
Yeah.
2 face offs. Every time I hear face off, I think of that Nick Cage movie with John Travolta.
I don't know if I saw it.
It's the dumbest movie ever, but back then you're like, shit, that could happen. This is like the late 90s. No, this is like 96.
Uh-huh.
And it's just hilarious. Yeah, just like that. And
Got him.
that was a decent sized hit, my friend.
So have you been dabbing for a while?
Is that your preferred?
Currently, yes.
Currently.
Yeah. The majority of my life, I've just consumed flour, just because it's been what's easiest, most
Okay.
inexpensive.
Yeah.
But recently I've become more of a connoisseur, I would say, and really enjoying the flavor.
You get a
that
lot
sort
of
of thing.
flavors
Yeah.
and concentrates.
Exactly.
Yeah.
especially with a nice hash rosin.
Yeah. That's
The flavor is
delicious.
just unrivaled.
Dude, thank
Yeah,
you. This is very kind of you to share, dude. That was
Oh, of
awesome.
Yeah,
course.
that's fantastic.
You know, I say this to everybody. I feel like there's no point in smoking hash if you're not going to share it. And it's
I feel like that's like cannabis, though.
yeah,
It's
absolutely.
like, if you're gonna smoke some and you're just like, I'm not gonna pass this. Like, yeah, I don't really know people like that.
Yeah.
You know, but that's the cool part because you wouldn't do that shit with a Marlboro.
No.
No.
You wouldn't be like, "Hey, man, here you go."
Well, I mean, I've never smoked one, but I can imagine that if I did, like
Well-
when I had a cigar, I wasn't passing that.
No, I smoked for years, and that was the thing. Like, it's mine. It'd be
Yeah.
like reaching
Yeah.
into like this is how people would treat it, and you can imagine this. It's like you're eating chocolate covered pretzels, and it's a little warm that day, and then somebody sticks their greasy dick beaten hands in there and picks out one, and it's sticking all over their fingers, and you're like, that's what they think of, like with cigarettes. But cannabis, you're like, no, dude, here you go, no problem.
Yeah.
Like it's just there's no feeling of like, oh, this is it. You just
Yeah.
can
It's
I
a very
have one?
social
No,
thing.
yeah,
It is
exactly.
a very social thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So as a bud tender, I guess, you've been there as a bud tender 9 months,
Yeah,
10
9-ish
months
months.
roughly. Do you notice that most patients, I guess, here in Utah, know how to have a conversation with you when they come in looking for products?
No. Yeah, for the majority of people, I'd say that it's just give me the highest THC. I don't care about anything else.
Interesting.
And I really do personally try to push away from that narrative, get people to focus on the terpenes and care less about the THC percentage. You know, I've been smoking consistently daily for 9 years at this point.
Yeah.
My two favorite strains in shop are Magic, which is 14% THC,
Yeah.
and White Runts, which is 17% THC. They both do me so well and get me to the exact same place as anything else. And the Malawi Sunrise, which is arguably
Oh.
our most popular strain at
Mhm.
Yeah.
27 THC on average, doesn't do a thing for me. I just don't feel it when I
Yeah.
consume Malawi Sunrise. And it's one of the few strains that I've ever, like, no matter how much I take, I just will not feel stoned.
What's the terpene profile like?
It's
for that one?
myrcene, pinene, and
Interesting.
something else, which, like, normally those are terps that do great for me.
Yeah.
But, like, with Malawi specifically, not a
Just
thing.
that cultivar
Well,
that.
yeah,
didn't-
and the strain, the terpene profile, like how much in the percentages, what's in there, because that really does have a big factor on that. Like, I've been learning of there because I take this medicine for type 2 diabetes,
Mhm.
and it's a roulette of when it's going to fuck up my guts, and I'm just going to be shitting like crazy, right?
Yeah.
And
Did you get your shot on Monday this week?
no, I didn't even. I'm still waiting on it to get into the pharmacy. I'm
Oh, shit.
4 days over.
So is that your or is it your other med that was messing up your guts then?
No, that med. But
Oh,
that
damn.
med saves my life.
Oh yeah.
It brings me into normal levels of
It's
blood
made you
sugars.
way
Yeah.
different. Yeah.
Yeah, I've lost a ton of weight. I'm way clear.
Your feet don't hurt.
Not as
That's
much.
awesome.
They
Yeah.
still hurt. But cannabis is such a, it's like that one, anything high in beta carotene, I know I can take that above anything else. And I look at the terp profile instead of the strain. And that's where we feel a lot the same way. It's, understand the terp profiles and what it does for you. You don't have to sound super fucking smart when you show up going, well, I'm looking for something with about 28% myrcene and about 13% beta carotene. Do you guys have that in that specific order? Like that'd be a little
Yeah.
too deep.
Yeah.
The other
I-
guy,
I-
the other guy over there, be like, "This is just fucking weed, bro. Just order it."
I never expect people to have that level of knowledge, but generally I'll ask people what they're using cannabis for, and that will help me direct them towards a product versus highest THC percentage.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. Would you say that a lot of your coworkers do the same thing? Do they help them?
Yeah, generally speaking, I'd say, there's some people that don't want to be helped. They'll just
Yeah.
they'll just stick to what they want. But yeah, I'd say everybody at Dragonfly wants to help you.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a huge. I mean, Brandon's gone into Curaleaf more. Like I've done the Lehigh one. I haven't done. There's one in Provo, isn't there?
Yeah, I think I don't know if it was Curaleaf when you and I went there. I think it was still whatever one owned it before.
Oh yeah,
But
that was our
Emily and
very
I-
first experience in a
Yeah.
dispensary.
Emily and I have gone there though, since it's been Curaleaf. And I was actually incredibly disappointed with the experience. And when I went in and was like asking the lady and stuff, and I was just like, wow, okay.
Yeah, they did. They're not very happy. Like there's one or two you get lucky, but like the last time I was helped there, picking up a couple of disties to go camping with in Idaho, and I was like, yeah, I'm looking for something, a sativa strain. Would you know the terp profiles in these sativa strains you have? Maybe there's some that I already know. And all she does is pull it up, and she turned the screen just to look at this fucking spreadsheet.
Yep,
This is
you
what
were
we
telling
got.
me that.
And I'm like,
That's ridiculous.
but that's the thing. It goes into the corporate cannabis. Like that's why you're getting that, and then that makes me question the quality of product that's out there. When you're talking about mold on that, like what's the big deal if there's mold on it? I mean, I'm going to burn it. What's that going to do to me?
Inhaling burning mold into your lungs?
Yeah, I mean,
Would you want to inhale mold in any regard?
no, of
Yeah.
course not, right?
No.
So that's why, I mean, you saying that,
Yeah,
and I'm glad you did, because it's not defamation, because that's people talking about it.
yeah, but to learn that a company in Utah grows products and almost every plant has mold on it is horrible.
Well, that just shows that there's
There's
a
no level of quality.
No,
Yeah,
and they're not maintaining it. We visited Dragonflies Grow,
Mhm.
and Brandon showed a bunch of cool spots where we were walking through, and all these other growers around. Oh, you should be like in a completely suited
White
up.
suit, gloves, environment and stuff. And I was like trying to think about it. I'm like, I mean, does it need that? We're
When
not
we-
that way for our tomatoes or any other food that we get from the store.
Yeah. They're
Like,
just
but then I'm like, well, but it's considered medicine here, but they don't actually treat it like medicine in any actual way. Like it's this really weird place that it's in.
Yeah.
That I'm like, okay, well, what is the grade of quality? Like, because again, I mean, if there's mold in other ones, does it matter if it's a totally clean suit environment? If they have mold and stuff growing in their plants, like there's these things that I'm like, okay, or if it's outdoor grown, most farmers that are out there are just
Mhm.
farming it. They're not like, hey, I've got this clean suit environment. I'm, like cleaning down and putting on gloves and this hazmat suit and going like, what?
Yeah.
How often are you seeing that?
I personally haven't ever visited a grow. I mean, I've grown plants myself, and
Yeah.
I can say I haven't taken that level of personal care to put on a hazmat suit. It's just
Oh,
plop a seed in the ground and
yeah.
see, but
care
then you
for it.
you do see those suits when they're doing the trim.
Mm-hmm.
So when we observed that room, I mean,
Oh,
that
yeah.
room was 100% like everybody's wearing PPE gear. They've got goggles on. They've got a full suit. And it makes sense
And
because,
gloves and stuff, but
yeah.
they're handling the end product.
Mm-hmm.
They're touching every little bit of this flower.
Yeah.
You know,
And I'm sure there's lots of loose trichomes in the air. It can
Oh,
get
yeah.
in your lungs, that sort of thing.
well, there is because even in what that was the, in my eyes, the first death from cannabis, like actual death, but it's not in the way of consuming cannabis. It was this lady was in a rolling factory, and basically there was too much powder in the air, and she
Mm.
died from inhalation of too much cannabis. I'm like, but that's dust of anything.
Yeah.
That's a regulation of like this company was negligible and didn't maintain things that should have been done on any
Yeah.
any company, on any industry. It's like quality standards for your employees. Like, hey, can they breathe in this air? No, there's too many particles in the air. Okay, get that crap out. Like that's not a cannabis
and that's
issue.
a ventilation issue.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Exactly. So I'm like,
ventilation
Particles in the air. Not
yeah.
Cannabis.
So that's I'm like, that's what I'm like. There is a first death from like actual cannabis in that instance of it, but like it's
Yeah, but I mean, you got like one instance, and they'd be like, see, that's bad. And they're like, yeah, but the government let us
But I'm like,
use
that could have been
asbestos.
a dust thing.
Right?
Yeah.
And we're like, fuck you.
It
like,
could have been a sawmill. And they didn't clean
and
their air. Like it's
what
the
else
same
was there?
thing.
What were the preconditions she had? Maybe she was asthmatic, and that's what killed her, right?
Yeah.
And there's just so many different variables. Like when anybody ever wants to point out
But it's
something
not
negative,
from like overdosing. There was no like, hey,
no,
they consumed too much and they died. I was like, no, just, any sort of dust in too much is probably really bad for humans. So
Yeah.
that
Oh yeah. No,
Yeah.
it's I don't know. You get a lot of different cannabis that comes in front of you. I know you work for Dragonfly, but there's times where you're going to recommend another brand. Why?
Just if I believe it's a superior product. I recommend a ton of Pure Plan products. I mean, we do grow a lot of flower for Pure Plan, um, but I love their concentrates, and they wash a lot of like the solid flower or black sheep flower for their rosins, and they all turn out phenomenally. The Dragonfly doesn't currently offer any solventless products, and I do really prefer my solventless products over
Yeah.
solvent-based products. I just find like if I'm using BHO or a distillate, it gives me kind of a burn in my nostrils or in the back of my throat, and I just personally don't like that.
Yeah, well, the solventless is such a better, cleaner experience.
Absolutely.
If you don't have to go with a BHO or something, why would you choose that extract?
Yeah.
I mean, and here's the thing that we've realized over time, and it's, obviously some people struggle with that, is some people go for the lowest product
Mhm.
dollar. They're like, oh, this is going to get me the lowest, like, best bang for my buck. But is it though? Because a
Yeah.
lot of the time you're like, hey, are you taking 2, 3, 4, 5 times more hits?
Exactly.
Because this isn't getting you the experience that you actually are needing for what it is. So instead of getting to what you're wanting, where it's like, hey, we can take a dab and get to the level we actually need and we're good and can work and do things for hours, or we have a disty cart and we puff on that every 30 minutes
Yeah.
because we're like, oh, shoot, hey, we're not there, but take another hit. All
Well,
right, well.
same like, I get that because like the concentrate really does hit you and stay longer, I feel.
I agree.
And you're not having to visit, you're not going to take, well, I'm not going to speak for everybody else, but in a healthy relationship with cannabis, you're not going to be hitting that thing like you would a disty cart.
Yes.
Yeah.
You're not
Yeah.
just going to keep fucking hitting that, loading that bowl because quickly you're going to go into space. You're just like fucking Elon Musk. Like, I don't understand how they were able to leave the atmosphere so quickly.
But see, if you do that, we might be able to get the free Tesla that's up there. So,
Yes.
shit.
That's not
High
worth it.
thoughts.
Just bringing it in though. I mean, it's. I don't know. Like it definitely like I had a hard time going over to concentrates because it felt like a fucking crackhead.
Yeah.
Because the glass, because all I knew of dabs was him heating up the torch.
Yeah. I got the
And-
blowtorch and heat it up and, set a timer on it and go, all right, well,
Yeah.
let it cool down to here. But that looks very druggy.
Agreed. That's where I started with dabs. And
Oh, yeah.
my girlfriend, she refused to touch it because she felt like a crackhead
Yeah.
smoking dabs
She's like,
out
"It
of
looks
a rig with
horrible."
a torch. But I mean, now she takes just as many dabs as I do because the Puffco, it's just so easy. It's not intimidating.
Yeah.
You can
Yeah.
adjust it to a perfect temperature. I know she likes her dabs lower than I do. And
Interesting. Where does
it's
she do it at?
430.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you said yours is about 460?
I do I gave y'all one on 450 and
Yeah.
I took mine on 450.
Okay.
Speaking of, what did y'all think?
I loved that. It is like very clear.
It's very clear. I don't feel it anywhere on my eyes or anything like that. And it's not deep in my head or anything. I feel a presence around it, but that's it. It's really soft.
Yeah. It's a
but-
very subtle strain.
Yeah, and I don't feel it in my body. Like it's not slowing me down. I already know because like I'm constantly fucking moving, no matter what. Like my wife, she's gotten used to it. But in the bed, if I'm playing like a Switch or something, or looking, or I'm writing shit up on my iPad,
Just
my feet are just going like this.
Oh yeah, I'm a fidgeter.
Yeah,
I'm always doing something with my fingers.
yeah, I have to.
I notice on the show as I'm editing and stuff, when I have a lighter, I'm always like spinning the lighter or something.
Mhm.
I'm like, damn it, Brandon, will
Yeah.
you chill?
No, dude, it's just who you are. I mean, it's your ticks, and that's what helps you to feel. Like when with autism and stuff like that, some of these kids will stim really bad because the input of all the sounds and everything around them, sight, sound, it's so overwhelming that it like bottles it up. It doesn't just go in one ear and out the other one. It stays in there and it's playing loud in their mind.
It's a coping mechanism.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We all do it. We all stim.
Yeah, everybody stims to some
Yep.
degree. You're tapping
Yep.
your leg right now. I'm
Fucking yeah.
banging my fingernails against each other.
Yeah, I know, right? It's just like Brandon had to tell me because I had this when we would be recording. Because if I get really high, like I'm like
Starts rubbing his pants.
Yeah,
But then we pick it up on the mic, and it's like, man,
You gotta
didn't hear
stop
that. You gotta
doing
stop
that.
rubbing your pants.
yeah. I mean, now the setup's a lot different, so it doesn't really
It's-
pick that up as bad.
Still, but I still think it does.
Yeah,
But
it
it's
still
like,
does. But it's
Yeah.
just funny because it's just these weird little ticks. And sometimes cannabis just completely gets rid of it.
Yeah.
All right. So, say a new patient comes in.
Mhm.
What do you think are one of the best questions they can ask you as a bud tender to help guide them in this experience?
Well, again, absolutely, I'd like to know what they're using cannabis for. That, for me personally, is one of the most helpful things. If I know you're using it for pain, depression, once you get your med card, you can tell me you're using it for anything. I don't care if you're telling me you're using it to get high as hell, or if you're using it because you're in the worst pain imaginable.
Yeah.
I'll help you regardless. But that basis question is going to be the foundation for the rest of everything that we do here. I need to know what you're looking for in terms
Yeah.
of effects before I can get anywhere. And then, like, I'll get into what kind of products they're looking for. If they're looking for edibles, I'll get into dosage, vapes. I'll get into the difference between, the different types of concentrates, distillate, rosin, resin. And, same with concentrates. I'll go through that same list. And then flower, I'll just talk to them about different quality of different brands.
What do you find, I guess, here in Utah has been one of the biggest product pushes that patients have gotten? Is it mostly carts? Do we stick with flower?
A
Is it
lot of
edibles
people love the
mostly?
disposables. People love their disposables in Utah. The 2-gram carts, they fly off the shelves.
Interesting.
Yeah.
That makes sense because it's so convenient and there's a lot more in it.
Is that a distillate? Is that
That's
a resin?
distillate.
Okay.
The select ones are distillate and botanically derived terpenes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I personally think it's interesting that they sell so well because
It's
I
a lower
tried-
quality product.
and for $110, that's
Yeah.
crazy.
Fucking hell.
for 2 grams
Yeah.
Dude, that's
of
Distillate with
disty.
botanical terpenes.
Jeez.
like you're getting 7 grams of flour with
Well, 'cause-
that, dude.
Yeah, because I'm looking at that and I'm like, man,
Fuck.
when
I'd rather get 7 grams of flour.
yeah, when Nareth came on the show and he was telling us that they're doing the zero now, and I was like, ah, man. He's like, well, there's just this market for it. I'm like, who is buying these really cheap, shitty ones? But
A
a lot of people because they
They're-
don't know the difference
There are
or
I
don't
also
care.
feel like I've noticed a trend in cannabis where people are liking their weed to not taste like weed. It's a thing in other states
yeah.
with like sprayed packs.
Yeah.
Or like
sprayed packs.
that's just a term for altered cannabis that's been made to taste and look a certain way.
I like
Not
that.
natural.
Not
Yeah.
natural. Yeah.
Yeah, you
like,
notice
you'll
that.
get
Oh,
less
yeah.
strains, more flavors, like s'mores or marshmallow, even with bud. Like that's a
Yeah.
big thing on the black market. I feel like particularly on the East Coast.
Oh.
I've seen it in Texas too, in California, absolutely. But sorry, I got kind of off track. there.
No, that's I was asking the question because I mean that's something I've never heard before.
Yeah. I feel like a lot of people are liking those more kind of artificial flavors. I notice, there's also just a lot of people like, hey, I have kids. I don't want them to know like I'm using cannabis. What's not gonna smell like weed, but I can still smoke it.
Yeah.
Like, oh, this is gonna be perfect for you. Like you are the person that distillate and botanically derived terpenes is made for.
Yeah. Honestly, though, the live resin carts, like, even if they're doing disposables, I feel like those are so much better.
Agreed.
And so even if they're going to that, yeah, some of the live resin or rosins, like, you can smell a little bit of it. Like
Oh, dude, if it's good stuff,
Yeah.
yeah,
Oh,
it
yeah.
stinks.
like the ones that you have, the ones I just gave you,
oh yeah.
you can smell them from the, yeah.
Oh yeah, and that's usually when I'm looking at a live rosin pen. If I smell like artificial flavors and stuff, I'm gonna get a disty feel and be like, "This is a fucking lie," because you said this, and that's where a lot of I see certain stores that the not having the knowledge about the products, you're pushing them to the cheapest thing because it goes really quick.
Yeah.
Or there's a sale and they're like, "We need to clear that inventory, so push it," and you're like, "Okay, whatever." I mean, that's where I feel like when I've gone to Cureleaf. But I don't get that same feeling of your guys' pharmacy. Utah.
It's so weird with that, isn't it?
I'm just gonna call it dispo now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I've been bouncing between weed and cannabis this whole episode.
Oh no, dude, we're the same way. I mean, it's like I'll even say that like throughout. This is good weed,
Yeah.
but it's okay. It's not a bad thing. But it just kind of sounds like there's just not. Well, in your opinion, why is there not a pretty much a standard for bud tenders as far as like knowing the knowledge and all that? Because they're there to buy. It's not like they're going to be like, no, thank you for showing me all that stuff, and I'll put it on layaway.
Yeah.
Right?
Are you talking about in terms of like knowledge?
Yeah, like why?
There's
why
no
is it?
industry standard in
Yeah.
order to be a bud tender.
So
you
why
know?
why do you feel it is? I mean, where you're at, that's kind of a standard that they have, right? Or did they
So-
encourage you?
Yes, there is incentive to have more knowledge. Like there was the seed talent trainings where like you could get samples for completing the training or whatever. But I feel like a lot of the knowledge just comes from each other. Like everybody's willing to help the other person out. If I hear a patient has a question with one of my coworkers that one of my coworkers doesn't have an answer to, like I try most of the flower that comes into shop. I'm a big flower guy. A lot of my coworkers, they may only use vapes or may only use edibles, so they may not have
experience to
experience,
speak
yeah.
to that. Yeah.
and so I'll chime in, give my 2 cents, and that may, really help that patient. And people will do the same thing for me. Like edibles do not work for me at all. My liver will just not process THC orally. It'll process
Interesting.
other cannabinoids, which is really cool. Like I took a fresh squeeze Moxie edible this morning, those 50 milligrams of CBG, and I feel great. Like I feel really social.
Interesting.
I have a lot of anxiety, and that's exactly the reason I took it, is kind of help calm me down for this
Yeah.
episode, and I feel great.
Really, you
That's
were
dope.
nervous to come on?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Why?
I just, I was saying to y'all before, this is my first time speaking on anything ever.
It's okay.
Yeah.
It's okay.
I guess
We're just trying to get you high enough to admit shit that you did when you were as a kid and nobody knows about it. And you're like, yeah, I touched his dick, but they said it wasn't gay at camp, It's only gay if you don't pray. So, I mean,
if you don't pray.
yeah. But I mean, it's like whatever, dude. This strain is making me funny, dude. I don't know why.
Oh man, it's
It's
like
funny.
apples and bananas. We did it the other night, and we were both just like laughing and
Dying.
giggling, and just like it
Well,
was
the funniest part, I
funniest
keep
shit.
repeating it, like I'm I'm laughing hysterically because I missed gelato face off with apples and bananas, and it was awesome. And I am laughing, and Brandon's like, "What the fuck are you smoking?"
Yeah.
And I told him what I mixed, and he's like, "I'm gonna go get some apples." And he was like, he got
I had apples and bananas.
yeah,
What is
apples
this
and
one?
bananas in there, and we both were playing, and he gets we play Ghost Recon. We've played this game for years. We still keep going back to it. But we were playing, and he's like, he's high as fuck because you can hear his voice, and I'm high as fuck, and I'm giggling, and he's all, I got a car, and I'm all, I'm coming. Oh, not like that though. Gross. And we were fucking laughing, like we had to just stop. We're in this car. We got bad guys chasing us, and we're laughing our asses off. Like it was such a good time, but it was such a good memory. And just think about that. Like when people come in too, I was wondering, like, it's not always depression. It's not always like pain. And it's just like, you know what, man, I want to just let go and kind of forget my day. Do you have people coming in like that?
Absolutely.
Cool.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, people use cannabis for everything under the sun,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Even if the clouds go across the sun, they're like, ah.
Yeah.
Well, that's me.
Yeah. Me too.
I need my sunlight or I need my cannabis.
There
I
was
mean,
this
preferably
woman-
both.
Right.
Yeah.
No, that was about this woman I worked with. She's like, it was funny. I told Brad about it. It was like this job, and they asked me, it was like the first time I was like way open and honest about my cannabis use. And I just told the lady, because they hired me on as like a sales guy, and they were one of my marketing clients. And they're like, hey, we'd like you to come over. And honestly, what did I do there? Fucking nothing. I didn't do anything. And I had a decent salary over there and decent pay. But I just gave them ideas. But I came to her right after I got them, and she goes, okay, you just have to take a drug test because we go into medical facilities all the time. I'm like, about that? And she's like, what? And I'm all, I smoke weed. She's like, oh, okay. Well, then we'll just delay it for 30 days. Can you go without for 30 days? I'm like, oh, totally. For a job, you got it. And she's like, cool. All right, we'll just do it in 30 days. I'm like, wow.
That rocks.
Right?
Yeah.
That beats
funny.
the other.
That's
I mean,
wild.
the other story. I mean, I'll go through. Brandon's heard it, but you'll hear it, and it's really funny. I get this sales job with this supply chain company, and it was an awesome opportunity. Kind of. I don't know. It was fucking lame. Anyways, while I'm there, I'm filling out all the stuff, and they send me this packet on all my crap that I need to do for training. And then at the bottom it says, and be prepared to be able to give us a urine sample as we'll be testing you for it. I'm going there. There's a straight-laced dude who does all the training, hardcore holy roller. So I'm like, fuck. And I'm like, I got to get some. So I had a buddy give me some of his piss that morning, and I put it in a Ziploc bag. And I taped that shit to my inner thigh with duct tape because it's the only thing that's going to hold that. And then I drive. Well, I'm about a city away when I noticed that my seat's warm. And I'm like, oh, fuck. And the urine is leaking out all over my underwear. But luckily, it was just such a slow drip that it didn't go through. And I was wearing khakis, too.
Wow.
Yeah, this was bad. And so I get there, and I'm like, hey, I start talking to the trainer, and I know the guy. I'm like, hey, Carrie, I'm here, dude. I'm super excited to be able to get this training. I noticed that I have to do a urine sample. Where's the cup and where's the bathroom at? And he goes, I didn't have to give a urine sample. You don't either. You're in sales. I'm like, oh, yeah, of course. I got to go to the bathroom. Like a big old patch of fucking bald skin. And then there was barely any piss in there. It leaked all over. I had to sit in that office for 8 hours through training.
Jeez.
In my own piss. Yeah. And people were probably going, what's going on? Is that in the ceiling? Is there an animal in here? And I'm like, I don't smell what you guys are smelling. I don't know what the fuck's going on. So
that's funny. Yeah, I never had that, but I did have
the swab.
I got offered a job, and I was sitting at home out back. I had just gone on a motorcycle ride, got home, and I'm smoking a bowl. And I'm just about done with the bowl when my phone rings, and it's this company I'd interviewed for a couple times, and they're like, hey, we'd love to offer you the position. Can you come and fill out paperwork? And I was like, sure. When do you want me to come in? They're like, right now. Oh, it wasn't a bowl. It was a joint. Because I was like, shit, I'm worried my beard's going to smell. So I hurried and washed my face, brushed my teeth real good, and I go in. I drive in. I'm there within like 20 minutes. And I get there, and I'm filling out paperwork, and they're like, oh, hey, we just need you to take this drug test real fast. And they hand me a swab as I'm doing paperwork. And I'm like, oh, shit. I just smoked a joint like 20 minutes ago. This is for sure going to like show up in my system. So I fill out their paperwork, and I hop back on my bike, and I ride my motorcycle home, and I called Jesse. And I'm talking to him like, man, what do I do? Like, I'm pretty sure I'm going to get turned down because it's in my system. And he was like, well, just send him an email. Go, hey man, I just wanted to be transparent. Like, I was out in Colorado last month for like a funeral, and a buddy gave me a cookie, and I know it can stay in my system up to 30 days. So I just want to let you know that, you might find that. So I was like, okay. So I emailed the guy, and he was like, oh, hey, I appreciate your transparency, but your test came back clean. And I was like,
that's crazy.
What? Like,
yeah. So now if you get a swab, just make sure, what kind of toothpaste did you use?
I have no idea.
Because that shit probably was it.
If
you use Crest.
Well, because usually they have you like swab the whole part of your mouth and that. And he's like, well, just have this sit in your mouth for like 10 minutes while you do this. And so I literally had it just touching the roof of my mouth and barely on my tongue, and just sat there for like 15 minutes.
Oh, that's how you saved it, dude. Because if that would have touched your cheek.
Oh, yeah. If I was like swabbing everywhere in that, yeah, I'm pretty
Dude, it
sure.
would have been funny if you were doing that, though. You're all, oh, and then they turn over there, and you're all, oh. You're right. I mean,
you just like, get my hand out.
Yeah, I know.
You guys want this? So I start tomorrow, right?
Yeah, but there's a different position.
Yeah.
You'll be in the back.
Oh, you're definitely going to be under me now. So
under my desk. But dude, I was just like, what the? Like he told me that, I'm like, wow.
It was crazy because I was going to start at 50, but they started me at 69 after that. So,
well, because it was meant to be.
Yeah, they just watched me.
Yeah, they
like
were
the
all there,
lolly.
like,
Exactly.
Like, man.
Just give a really good sample.
Yeah. That's so funny. But now, I mean, like, here's where my mind just went to. What do you think the average age is of a person coming into the dispensary? Like across the board, what do you see pretty consistently? Because I can tell you what I've seen when I go in, but pretty consistently, I look at people that are in their 30s, like younger type people like that one, but I see a lot of older people.
Yeah, it's a pretty wide age range. There's people who, like me, are 21, and then there's people that are 90. It's
Is that kind of
really
crazy to see? Is it hard for them to order, or are they pretty comfortable? Older people.
definitely depends on the person. There's a lot of people who are still kind of in that reefer madness mindset. Like you kind of really have to, while you're working with them, convince them that what they're doing is not a drug and it is a medicine.
Yeah.
And that's always so interesting to me. It's like, I don't know, for me, I grew up around cannabis. My parents use cannabis. It's always been around. It's always been seen as a medicine. Even before I started, what's in there?
Do you want apples and bananas?
Yeah, absolutely. I'll take some.
It's just got a button.
Even before I started smoking weed, I was using CBD. My body's hurt my whole life. I was using CBD for my
Really?
body pains.
What age did you start CBD at? Was that around 13
young.
as well, or was it younger?
Yeah, I was probably like 10 the
Okay.
first time I took CBD.
Yeah.
And my mom would get like CBD RSO essentially
Yeah.
to give me, and that stuff was super cool. I've also had insomnia my whole life, and cannabis has been the only non-habit forming thing that's been non-traditional.
Is there a strain or a terpene that you've really found that's worked well for sleeping for you?
Myrcene, caryophyllene, and linalool together do me wonders. Like, did you guys ever try the Gastropop from Pure Plan? That one was myrcene, linalool, caryophyllene in that order, and I just couldn't stay awake after consuming it. It was fantastic. There's
nice.
very few strains where like I just can't keep my eyes open after them.
Yeah, same. I feel like most strains, and Jesse and I were even talking about that, like there's a lot of cannabis strains, even indica dominant ones, that you can use throughout the day, just depending on what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
And still function, be focused, get all the stuff accomplished that you need. Yeah.
Well, it's like the gelato face-off, which you guys can hear in a review on Tuesdays. But it really surprised me because I have had a mentality that I just like sativas because I have ADHD. But when you're looking at the terpene profiles and also the lineage, and then being able to look at those terp profiles, like this is where it came from, and then locally where you're getting it, if you can get that information, that's awesome because then now you're able to do it. It is by far the most productive strain I've ever used.
Yeah.
I'm just so focused and I feel good. But like I mixed gelato face off and magic.
Oh,
in
okay.
here. And
yeah.
so
Nice.
Yeah, it's gonna and that's one thing that's, dude, like I don't know if I haven't told you the
gelato face off has been an amazing combo.
So these things are awesome for weed because they're zip fizz containers. They are airtight and they are thick.
Okay.
And there's like, what's in there?
I showed the
Italian
Budtenders.
ice. Check it out.
Smell
the tip. You won't smell you won't smell anything. Now crack it open.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Well, that smells really good. What is that?
That's Italian ice.
You always have strains for so long.
No, but the thing is, it keeps very fresh inside this.
Yeah, that smells like it was just ground.
Yep.
We have smoked flower out of there that's at least 6 months old that dumps
up
out
to a
and
year.
It feels still sticky and dank like it was just ground.
That's incredible.
It's
insane.
There's minor amount of air in there. I don't know why cannabis
don't create more like that. Yeah.
because they'll give you this
perfect.
shit.
Mhm.
That's what
It's
you get.
ridiculous.
And I'll keep flour in there, but I also have a smell-proof bag.
Yeah.
So they're okay. But these, I'll stick it in my pocket and take a vaporizer with me
Yeah.
and really get that. But
I showed all the Budtenders at Dragonfly last time I went because I was talking to someone. They were like, "Oh, I just got the Mighty Plus," and I was like, "Oh, I love that." And I had mine in my bag, and they're like, "Oh, yeah, it stands up." And I'm like, "Yeah," and they're like, "It's got the little tab on the bottom." I'm like, "Yeah, but it's not like I can't just set it down and it stands up. It's not like any of the other ones where it just sits nicely. I just have to take it out and lay it down. It's a beast. Like this thing doesn't have, and yeah, I can take out the little poker and stick it in backwards and
Mhm.
set it down. So it'll do that. But like, yeah.
Ooh.
And so as I did that, I pulled out my they were like, "You just got your vaporizer right here." And I was like, yeah. But I had also just come from a sesh and I had that little red tube and I'm like, "Oh, these are the best." And I showed them that and they couldn't smell a thing. And then after they were like, "Smell it," I was like, popped it open. And it's like, yeah, it is.
see,
a
like
lot
I'll
of
give you
smell.
one that I recently ground. Where is it?
Also, I know I was telling you about egg roll last time you were in.
Oh,
I brought some
yeah.
egg roll with me.
Dude, what the fuck is this? There's not even in there.
That's one that makes me really giggly.
So this is apples and bananas.
Ooh. Is that the Dragonfly one?
Yep,
Nice.
that one's on pretty tight.
Oh, I was pushing it the wrong way. That smells really, really nice.
Right? And it's so convenient. Like
Mhm.
I could have like 4 strains with me, ground up. And the crazy we did one time. It was cherry. Was it cherry pie?
Yeah.
It was cherry
think
pie,
so.
and I totally forgot I had it because it wasn't labeled.
Mhm.
That's why I'm trying to come up with something to label it with like a permanent marker that I can just erase.
Yep.
But
That's what
you
I
know,
do with my mason jars. This one still has Mac written on it, and it just has a few different strains.
dude, like
but I
how
love
many
it.
tops of ours? Yeah, no,
That's so
fucking pieces of tape and shit. You're just like, I'm gonna pull it off, and then you're like, it's not coming
I
off.
found I use Sharpie, but Mr. Clean Magic Eraser will take it off.
See, now
new
you
strain.
can feel the magic in it.
Mhm. Oh, absolutely. I feel great. The
Yeah.
CBG does wonders. I love CBG.
Yeah,
Right?
it,
You know,
it
as I was talking about with the fresh squeezes, it just does so much for my anxiety. Really, really does wonders for me.
well, and with this, like I while we were hitting it, like it kind of brought me down to base.
Agreed.
Like I don't
Yeah.
feel like high right now, and I feel good. And then I did that kind of as a palate cleanser, right? You were talking about egg roll. Well, this is the ginger, and then and then we'll try another one, right? So I mean, it's I don't know. That's what I love about it, where you can play with the ride at any time, and it doesn't matter. I mean, mixing strains over there, like when I've talked about it with people, I'm like, yeah, you can mix these strains. They're like, why would you do that?
Yeah,
I'm like,
I mix my strains.
all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We used to do that. We need to do another combos episode because we made up some funny ones. Like we had one called the White Russian, which
Yeah, we
was
were doing a lot of combos at that time.
tons. We had the Lone Ranger
Yeah.
because it felt like I
Dolph
felt just like
Lundgren.
here. Yeah, we had Dolph Lundgren
Which was the mix of White Russian
and Sour Diesel.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it was like what he's like Dolph Lundgren. I'm like, yeah, a giant Russian. Yeah, that's what it is. It is just like, oh, that's crazy.
good.
Yeah, it's just like
Such a
Dolph
good
Lundgren.
strain.
Like, what was I gonna call that mix I've been doing? I should just call it Mr. Giggles because that's how I felt.
Oh, I was just on apples and bananas that night though, and I was still feeling super giggly in that. I was like, I don't know
It's
if
a
it was the
very
base of
fun
apples
strain.
and bananas, but like that mixed with
Yeah,
your
but that's so
gelato for
crazy.
yourself.
Like, you can add that CBG to your bowl and just change the effect.
So do you you were saying you used Moxie's edible for CBG. Do you find CBG flower? Have you got anything more like that? Or
I
concentrates?
like the Magic a lot.
Yeah.
That's really the only other high CBG product that I know of in Utah. At
The
least outside of edibles.
the other one that we had found was Grass Valley Girl is also
yeah.
about the same percentage of
Mm.
CBG as Magic was.
Okay.
Yeah,
Interesting.
which was a real surprise. Um,
And it was nice. I like grass fed. Like, I got it in a disty in those
in one of the pods,
pods. Yeah.
Hmm.
but
Yeah. What's your take on pods? Do you like them more than 510s, or
I
you
don't
don't give a shit?
I don't use vapes all that often in general, and then on top of that, I don't use distillate even less frequently.
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
Me too.
So like when I do have a vape, it's usually a live resin pen or a live rosin pen, and it'll last me months. Like I have a half-gram terpel that I probably got 6 months ago, and
Oh,
I
bro.
am still using it. And that's
That's
just
wild.
because I take dabs or I take bowls way, way more often.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
I just need to be better with that, but I always have so many different products that I'm using and trying, and yeah.
As you were talking about with the longevity of the effect of a concentrate, or at least a proper dab, I don't feel the need to remedicate with a pen in between my sessions.
mm-hmm.
Like, I'm good until I'm not.
Yeah. You feel that it's just as it comes on, it's so quick, but the come down is so slow,
Mm-hmm.
so you're not feeling it. When you hit carts, it's definitely this the whole time. You hit the ceiling of I can't get any higher no matter how hard I hit this thing.
Yeah.
Like I blinked it, and shit's gone from clear to now amber, and then to
Bland.
like fucking coffee. And you're like, yeah. I mean, I recently went through a bunch of my carts, and I'm just noticing that I haven't smoked a lot of distillates. Like, I like live rosin. That's
Mhm.
great for me. I love that. But
Yeah.
at the same time, I'm like, okay, I
I like the
want
live resin is fine.
it just tastes better. And so it's like where I see a lot of people getting into cannabis in one or two ways, and you'd probably be better to be able to save it, but it's either edibles or disties when they get first into cannabis, or where would you say they're more open to concentrates and flower?
Like if it's people's very first time
Yeah.
trying cannabis ever,
Yeah.
I'd say yeah, either edibles, distillate, or flower. I feel like a lot of people flower is something they know, but they may have never tried it. Edibles are always going to be a safe, comfortable starting place for a lot of people. I feel like especially older people really like their edibles. And then
Yeah.
yeah,
I wonder if
people
it's a stigma.
yes,
Like
I think
the
that is as I was talking about, like with they kind of have this reefer madness
yeah.
mindset still. I feel like edibles help with that.
That's how I got both of my parents, my grandma to consume
Mhm.
is through tinctures and edibles.
Absolutely.
Through lots of education and then tinctures and edibles. But
Yeah, but that's the good thing. I mean, then they don't feel bad about it. My
Mhm.
dad struggled with alcoholism during the pandemic. You're alone and you're older and got time and you still
and
get
COVID
money.
was fucking hard on everyone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it really fucked him up. And I had to do detox with him. And the second time we did a detox with him, he did like an inpatient one for like 3 days. And then the next one he did, I took care of him at my house for 14 days. And it was hard because he was coming off of alcohol and benzos.
Mm-hmm.
And
Oh,
they were
geez.
loading him up with so much medication. Like he was drooling. He couldn't barely speak. But I'd been in MA for 10 years. I knew just how to be able to see the signs and all that stuff. And then if it got too crazy, I'd call 911.
Yeah.
But he had this really hard time. And then he had this withdrawal from alcohol and the benzos. And so I started making him edibles. And he would come every month. He's just like, hey, I need another batch. So I'd make like more
More
little
edibles.
dinosaurs and little cars and stuff like that. I'd make these awesome gummies for him and load up a bag. And I'm like, eat half. And then in 2 more hours, eat the other half. And then just do that for like 6 hours. And then you should be good. And then he was like, oh, dude, it was great. But then after he didn't need it anymore, then he's just like, no, I don't like the way it makes me feel. So I'm
Yeah.
like, oh, okay, cool. Use it for its purpose. That's awesome. I don't see why anybody would stop using cannabis, though. I
Mhm.
mean, that's just weird.
It is odd to me, but like again,
Some
my
people do just start
Yeah.
to experience really adverse effects from it.
What
So have
about-
you had a lot of that? You heard a lot of
Yeah.
those stories?
I have a friend actually who, and it could have just been the concentrates he was smoking, honestly, but he said that it gave him like asthma temporarily. Like he wasn't able to consume cannabis
was he getting
in
black
any
market?
form. Yeah,
Okay.
but Even when he was taking edibles, his throat would dry up so much that he just couldn't stop coughing.
Interesting.
And,
Yeah,
like,
dude,
his-
it could be
Huh.
allergic to it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
He's started doing it again, and it's fine currently.
Yeah.
But, who knows?
Better quality?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Hopefully.
Yeah. Hopefully.
yeah, no mold.
Well, I'm surprised even like
Fucking poke him in the eye.
well, he's talking about mold in that one, but I mention it all the time on the show, the highlight
Yep.
cart that has the synthesized cannabinoids that they're
Mhm.
adding in. And I'm like, why is this a thing? Why are we doing this? Why are we synthesizing cannabinoids and adding
So-
them?
The way it was explained to me is that those just appear as part of the distillate making process, which, I mean, I can kind of see it. The distillate is so far away from the original cannabis plant already that who knows what's gonna pop up in the alteration of that original Delta 9 THC cannabinoid
Yeah.
throughout all that chemical nonsense.
I've just never seen that on almost any other cart
Yeah, it's-
anywhere.
It's on the Fruit of Life vapes, I know, and
Ah.
the Wholesome vapes. I don't recall any others off the top of my head that I've seen.
So
but-
when we love Dragonfly's products. They hook
Mhm.
us up every month with stuff to try out.
Yeah.
And when we first started going, I was finding that because they had us get the Nova battery and stuff, so I was getting some of the pods, and I'd find that I'd cough more. The experiences I do like theirs better than like
Select.
any other one that I've tried here.
Select always gives me headaches.
Every other one has
Agreed.
this like buttery terpene flavor to almost, and it's the same exact flavor across every single cart.
Yep.
Doesn't matter the strain, the cult, like who makes it. I was noticing that across all of them. I'm like, I don't like this because it feels like the carts felt weird and the flavor. I'm like, there should not be the same thing that I can pick out across all of these. There should be a difference. And so then when we did, I started trying their pods and I was like, okay, I like this, but it's still a distillate. It's still, and I noticed every pod has like, it feels like it gets down and then leaves about that much in the bottom.
Mhm.
And I'm like, so how much product, as if I'm, for me, it's not a big deal. But for patients who are like, this is my medicine, this is all I'm getting, and I'm paying $70 for this pod, I was like, that's a lot of product that's getting wasted for that. Like, is this the most effective system of delivery for that? Like, I feel like that is probably something that needs to be changed up.
Agreed. Yeah. I mean, I don't think vapes are the most efficient
Not at
method
all.
in general. Regardless of what system you use, there's going to be that little.
I've actually
bump
gone
left
away
over.
from them
Yeah.
in the last several months, and because I'm like, I'd rather get like a live resin pen, a live
Mhm.
rosin pen,
Yeah.
and
Much
then
different.
just, do flower concentrates and stuff. Because disties have never been my favorite.
Yeah.
Like,
Agreed.
so I think it was just like, we were trying to try a lot of different products and stuff. And now it's going, all right, well, really, really love the flower. They've had some amazing, like Magic. Magic was fantastic. What was
Yeah,
the
I got
last
that
one?
twice.
Black
Black
Blackberry
amber.
Spice.
Amber.
Oh, Black
Oh,
Amber was
yes.
super nice.
Black amber.
We
It
didn't
has
do
the
Blackberry
petrichor
Spice yet.
smell with it.
But the,
Right after rain, that
Yes.
smell. That's the
yes.
smell.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
exactly it.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
so crazy. I was just like, "Fuck, that smells like after rain. What is that?" And we
Yeah.
found out it was called petrichor, and so I was like,
It was
"Oh
cool,
man!"
though.
And after that, like I was telling my wife, she's usually not into flower. She likes apples and bananas, but she loved black amber.
Yeah, you were telling me that.
And then I go there and they're fucking sold out, and I'm just like,
Oh, bro, no.
gosh, that's such a good strain. And she asked me next time we were smoking flowers, she goes, "Do you have that black amber?" I'm like, she even remembered the name. She doesn't remember
Wow,
the
that's
name unless it's
impressive.
on the box.
Yeah,
And so that it just goes to show like a big
that
cultivar in
really
there.
stood out.
And I also want to say real quick that I appreciate you so much for being honest to be able to let us know what allegedly is happening over at Wholesome Co., where they've got mold, they're trimming, they're putting into those jars, they're trimming around it. Like, that's just contaminated.
Yeah.
I mean, who knows what you're giving over there. So that's awesome. But it's allegedly, right? I mean,
Yeah.
it may or may not have been, but from unknown sources, they
You
did
know,
that.
I've heard from numerous people that work at to avoid their flower like the plague.
Oh
Yeah,
wow, that's sad.
That's pretty bad.
And that goes to show, I mean, like, and that's why I got kind of irritated with people who were like, "Oh, you should be in all this stuff." Like, I don't know, they got that facility pretty fucking high tech down there at the grow.
But even not just high tech, but when we went and looked at the products, when we went and looked through the grow, when we went and saw each stage,
The
Oh,
dragonfly
even the
grow?
Yes.
yeah, and then the
every
bins,
stage, it was clean.
Mm-hmm.
so
yeah,
clean.
we weren't white suits and gloves, hazmat suits, but
We wore
everything
gloves
was clean.
anytime we were touching.
yeah,
a
when we
plant.
touched the flower, we wore gloves. But like when we were wandering through and that, we weren't. But
No, we weren't touching anything.
they weren't petting it all and stuff. It was just.
Mm-mm.
But where was it going with that? They had a level of quality that we didn't see mold. I didn't see all these pests or other things, or they're not using synthesized things or other things that really shouldn't be used in a cannabis grow.
Yeah.
Um,
We use ladybugs as a pesticide.
yeah, exactly. And I love that. When we were down there, how many ladybugs I saw, I was like, yeah, see, this is what they should. There's so many natural ways to do it and keep healthy plants.
Yeah, it's way more efficient though, because I
Yeah.
mean, even the changing of their lights due to the plants growing too tall and hitting the ceiling, and then you're getting the
Well, it's good.
discoloration.
It's the proper
and then-
regulation of like, hey, it needs to be this far. Hey, we've got to give it this room. And it's giving that room and the time and the care that it takes, because every room also was humidity controlled to that perfect humidity through every part of every stage of it.
Yeah, when we were visiting it, the only thing I thought of, because my brain is so random, is it went to that movie with Matt Damon where he's like on Mars by himself.
Yeah.
Have you seen
Martian?
that one? The
Oh.
Martian. And it was super fun because all I thought about that with everything, he's like, I'm going to science the shit out of this. And it's exactly what they did over there, man. I mean, it's so just top notch.
Beautifully done.
Yeah.
But I've also heard that there might be a couple grows like that in the state here. Total.
Prove it.
So I don't know. I'd have to go see them
Prove
to see.
it.
But
Yeah.
loved what Dragonfly's done so
Yeah.
far.
Just
Yeah, I
amazing.
love our flower. Honestly, like
Yeah.
it's some of my favorite in the country.
Do you
to be
have-
Yeah.
honest.
Me too.
Okay, that's
Yeah.
fantastic. I think that says a lot if you're saying out of the country. So are you? Do you do legacy market? Do you do mostly outside dispos as well? Like,
I
'cause
do
it sounds-
everything.
okay.
I mean, I don't have like a plug per
yeah,
se.
but every
Um,
now and then there's
But
products
you know,
that
I have like gray market products like the Sugar Magnolia Farms jar, which
Yeah.
came from a hash event, or like I'll go to dispensaries in California, or like I'll just shop at our local dispo like Dragonfly.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's so funny, isn't it? Because like if you're into cannabis, like literally any city that we go to, when my family was like travel every summer, we're either on the road, we're gonna try and go somewhere, or we're camping. It's been camping for several years, but first thing I'm doing is I'm pulling up my Google cannabis near me, and
Oh,
then
yeah.
I'm looking for that one, and then I judge based upon it. But it's so going to dispos all over the United States are so different in every state you go into.
Oh yeah.
Like Arizona felt like the one I went to, it felt like I was like at a fast food joint.
Yeah.
There was this
Really?
rope maze, and this is in Phoenix, and then when you wait there, they call your number like you're at the DMV, and it'll flash above like where the rep is, and then across the board it looks like you're fucking betting on horses and shit.
Oh, that's.
But it's
funny.
just their strains, and then it will change every once in a while.
So it's
two
kind of like the Planet 13 in a way, because they had numbers and there was
Yeah.
rows that P would stand in, I'm guessing, when it's packed, but we didn't go and it was crazy crowded.
No, it started to get crowded before we left, but that's the thing too with it was when you're at Planet 13, you're at the Costco of cannabis. Like
Mhm.
as far as like quantities and what you can get, and
Types of
oh dude, there
stuff,
was
yeah.
so much stuff there that you were just like, fuck, they thought of everything. almost, and they're like,
Yeah.
"Oh, that's nothing. We got other stuff out here."
I went down to Goodyear, Arizona area,
I
not
know what
too
you're
far
talking about.
outside of Phoenix,
Yeah.
but the ones that we got the live resin pens and joints and that from.
Oh,
Oh wow,
Story.
Story brand, yeah, Story brand out in um, Goodyear area. So their dispensary was actually really cool, and it reminded me of, oh gosh, I don't think there's anywhere that's been like that, but it was like, oh no, if it was like Cannabis in Springville but bigger, more spread out,
Oh yeah,
but like
yeah. Cannabis felt like Victoria's Secret and
that mixed with
Cannabis.
MedMen.
Yeah,
Like a lighter look, because Cannabis is pretty dark inside, but it's a really clean, like more. It's a nice looking store in there,
yeah.
or at least it was last time we went down. I'm not sure since it's sold and been another brand, but
I don't even know what it's called.
I don't know. The Forest. The Forest, I think, is who it is now. But I read that the state of Utah actually approved for them to move outside of Springville up to Salt Lake. So they're going to take a license outside of Utah County, and so that will leave only Curaleaf.
That's it.
That's all that's in fucking
That
Utah County
rocks.
is Curaleaf then. So thanks, Utah.
Jeez, that's terrible.
Yeah.
Does Dragonfly deliver here?
No.
No, because it's too far.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I know they got the super cool.
I should know that.
No. I mean, I checked on there because every time like I come in, I'm like, I know I should try and do this online, but I kind of want to go through the process that everybody else is. It gives me an opportunity to talk to people and ask them questions, and a lot of people are open. You get some older guys that are just like, I'm going to hell. I don't need you to be friends with me while we're
Right.
burning. Right? It's just like, whatever.
Last time I was there, this kid that was in there, he was buying 1 gram, just 1 gram. And I was like, oh, shoot. And that was when I realized, and I was like, oh, yeah, Jesse told me about that. And so that's when I bought
Little
the
samplers.
gram of sour chills, I think. I'm like, we'll just use this one for the show. I'm not going to get it to smoke. Like, we'll use this one.
Yeah, I've thought about that too. Like using that and being able to get a few different samplers would be really easy for like a show, because then it's easy to be. I mean, even if you're paying out of pocket, you'll be like what $40-$60, and I mean you're getting like 3 grams of
Yeah, which is
just in tiny packages,
Yeah.
but it's worth it because if you're gonna start investing into it, because then I see that there's 7 grams. What's the largest amount you guys can sell?
We have
There's the
ounces
full
in
ounces.
stock right
Yeah.
now. Yeah, but I mean, state limits are 4 ounces per month per individual.
What's it in concentrate?
20 grams.
20 grams of concentrate or 4 ounces?
Yeah, dude, and the
I think it's-
amount that they
It's
give you.
both.
Oh, you could have both?
I
So you could have a
believe so.
1/4 ounce and 20 grams?
I'm
Or quarter
fairly- I'm
pound?
fair- yeah,
Did I
I'm
say
fairly
1/4
certain
ounce?
You can get 4 ounces and 20 grams of concentrate in any given 28-day period.
Wow. Huh.
Unless I'm wrong, I could be.
I don't remember if it was or like you could do both.
I'm
but
fairly certain
that's
it's
cool.
both.
Huh.
Because on our website, it's listed as separate limits. Like,
Okay.
when people hit their flower limit, we tell them they can get concentrates. So I mean, I assume that's how it works.
Yeah, it sounds like
Just
that's
go,
really
go
interesting.
down the menu.
Because every time I would go, I mean, most of it was out of state, I guess. But every dispensary has their, hey, you can get this much in a day.
Mhm.
And that usually is a combination of flour and concentrates,
Mm-hmm.
when you're out of state. So I didn't know. That's really interesting.
I
that
think part
give
of
that
it's
allotment.
probably because it is in a 28-day period. Like that's a long time, versus Colorado, where you just said you can go buy an ounce of flour or 8 grams of concentrate
In a day.
Right.
But
like-
that's as a rec user.
Exactly.
I'm
As
sure the
a-
medicinal side is larger, but the thing
as a
I've
med
noticed
user, it is.
is every state I've gone to doesn't accept our card.
Mhm.
They're like,
That
I
is
mean,
true.
you can't, it won't do you any good. You're not going to get the taxable benefits. You're not going to get the med dosing. So really, you just get rec. And I'm
Yeah.
like, cool. So there's no interstate recognition of cards or value. And like, hey, it just is like, oh, well, Utah, if you have a qualifying condition from out of state, then you could.
Mm-hmm.
So
But
that's the only way you can get a.
temporary medical card.
You have to have like a med card from your.
An existing
Home
state that
state.
has a qualifying condition of Utah.
That's how I found out Texas has a medical cannabis program. Is
Yeah.
because somebody brought in their.
What are their
Texas med
qualifying
card.
conditions?
I don't even
know?
know, but I know
Okay.
that they only do edibles.
Yeah, and it's like dosing up to like 25 milligrams or something small.
Oh, I have no.
And I looked up
logistics
before because my ex-wife lives down there, and she's always been like, "Oh, you should move to Texas." I'm like, no, no, but like also cannabis isn't legal there, so also
Yeah.
no. But so
Which always makes me laugh about Joe Rogan.
right?
Because they're like, yeah, you can't have any cannabis. Mr. Rogan, you can have as much as you like, sir. Don't worry about it.
Don't even worry. It's not
Yeah.
a big deal.
And if somebody flies in and has it on them, we're good. Don't worry about it. Just go to the studio. Please buy a home.
yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, fuck that.
Shit. I don't remember what I was saying before.
Oh, fuck. I'm sorry.
No, it's good. Apples and bananas. Good
Apples and-
stuff, eh?
No,
we were
like,
talking about med card translation. to
Oh,
oh,
edibles.
yeah.
Yeah.
So when I looked it up, it was like, I think it was 25 milligrams per edible. And I'm like, that
Whoa.
won't touch me. I will not feel a thing
Yeah.
from 25 milligrams. And so that doesn't actually benefit me at all.
Yeah.
So I just thought it was interesting. And I'm sure for some people there's value in it, and that's great.
For
but
sure.
for some
Absolutely.
people, that will do absolutely nothing. So
Yeah, I mean, you talking about 25. Do you remember when I had that friend out in Denver? He sent me a care package,
Mhm.
and I got these edibles, and all I saw was edibles, and they were it was pineapple peach, and it was so tasty. And I was like, I'll just do half because it's like 10 milligrams, no big deal. And then I started feeling it kick in, and it was a lot stronger. And 10 milligrams, like, felt like I was melting. My face was like all cerebral palsy. It was like, looked like I had a stroke.
got him good.
Like, honey, I think
Vinegar
these,
strokes.
I think these edibles have turned. I don't know if this is good. So I'm eating that, and I was just like, fuck, what's the dosage on it? And then I go and pick up the bottle, and it says 75 milligrams per edible,
Mm.
and I'm like, oh my god. Fuck me. And I was just like, I was so high. And it was forever. And then I called my friend. I'm like, fuck, man, could you give me a warning? He's like, you know how to read, right? I'm like, yeah. And he goes, quit putting shit in your mouth if you don't know what it is. I'm like, yeah, it kind of got me into trouble in the past. Yeah, that's good advice. That's sound advice.
Hilarious.
But it was just like, you don't know what it's going to do. And even on the edible side, like, I have a hard time recommending edibles just because of the potency and it just doesn't, you can half a pill. You can't really cut up a gummy in a way that's going to give you, like, you could eat
you
half
don't
of it
know
and
where
go,
the dose might be within the
Right.
gummy.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, like, theoretically, you can cut it in half, but
yeah.
who knows?
The dosing is
the distribution of THC throughout should be even, but there's always gonna be off ones.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're going to have like one side of it. You're going, that just tastes like a gummy. I don't like it. And then you eat the other half and they're like that's the way it is with edibles. Like, I feel like you guys can eat edibles and you're just like, yeah, 300 milligrams. Like, you ever see that Instagram post that he posted? Oh, it was hilarious. He's like talking all like it's the happiest thing. He's like talking in the church. Hey, everybody, I just took 250 milligrams and I'm about to go float in the float tanks. This is one of my favorite things to do. And then you see the comments. That's the best part. It's like, oh, sure, having a panic attack in space. That sounds great. It was just like, no, because his top,
But,
that's
like,
not even going to fucking touch
250
him.
for me is like it will actually take the edge off my pain.
Really?
I
Yeah.
won't be high. I won't be like euphoric. I could totally smoke a bowl or do anything else at that point. But I won't have much pain at that point.
Yeah.
But that's usually 250, 300 milligrams.
Mhm.
Like, I've taken 800 milligrams. I've taken 1,000 to 1,400 milligrams. Like, it just, yeah, it's ridiculous. Or 200 every 2 hours.
Mhm.
Like, I just have a lot of
Yeah, but-
pain and
yeah.
an insane
Yeah.
metabolism and a high
Mhm.
tolerance.
Yep. The most I've taken is 1,200, and it didn't touch me, and that's
Yeah, that's a
when I
wild
came to the
amount.
conclusion that I just not going on down there.
Yeah. But some people, they don't actually like it doesn't affect them when
Mhm.
they break down like that.
Yeah.
I think it was it 15% or was it higher than that? Was it in the 20s
Yeah.
when we had Riley Kirk on, Dr. Riley?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, but there's a good amount of percentage of cannabis users who will not feel edibles,
Mhm.
period. So,
Which is so crazy because
Right.
I mean it is like that. Sometimes it's there, sometimes it's not. So, kind of just wrapping up with you is some of the things that I'm really curious about is one, you know, do you think people should be going towards flower when they first get into it based on how they can control better on how they feel, or edibles where it can take them to the place they want to go, or they may take too much?
yeah, I guess as a bud tender, what's your initial recommendation?
I personally
Obviously.
believe flower or concentrates are king.
Okay.
Just having the benefit of a terpene profile and the full range of cannabinoids is so much better than a 10 milligram THC edible.
Yeah, the entourage
You're
effect.
getting just such a one-dimensional effect versus that entourage effect that you'll
Yeah.
get with flower or a live resin
Concentrates,
or
yeah.
a live rosin, which those are obviously expensive starting places, and that's why I'd say like flower is what I think is the best starting point
Yeah.
because you get
Well,
cannabis.
I mean, and if not, like a live resin, and this might be a good way to look at it, if it is truly a higher quality product, you're going to use less,
Mm-hmm.
so it'll last you way longer. So even a 1 gram concentrate, if you're truly just getting into it, like the head of a pin might be good enough for you.
Totally.
And so that 1 gram will last you a month, maybe.
That's
You
how it
know?
was with Dad when I first got into
Mhm.
it. Like, we started getting dab rigs like crazy at one point,
Yeah.
and we're just like,
Every dab rig under the sun.
yeah,
Yeah.
seriously.
Except for Puffco.
Yeah, Puffco,
Oh, and Dr. Dabber.
yeah,
I've bought that one, but like every other one I think we've had sent to us.
yeah, and
That's awesome.
yeah,
Yeah.
I know, right? Good
Yeah.
problem to have. But we found the ones that we liked the most, and I've got a portable one. It's dry, but it's not as clean as that. That one was great.
Yeah,
Thank
that's
you.
That was
fantastic.
cool.
I'm
I
glad
like
you
that.
liked it. I'm a
And I
big
think
fan.
that case is cool. Like, it makes me
Thank
want to
you.
get all my glass to go in something like that.
Yeah, just gotta go to Harbor Freight.
$13.
Dude, shit, yeah. That's
Check
cool.
that out.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. Where are you gonna go in cannabis?
I hope to be a hash maker one day. That's my end goal.
Oh,
But getting in at ground floor is where I'm at
yeah.
now. I don't really have any sense of direction in that idea or really the funds to get started right now, but it's definitely where I'm hoping to go.
So you want to go throughout and really be deeper in the business.
Mm-hmm. Hash is my passion.
Have you? So you've grown before, but have you turned that into hash before?
No, I haven't grown in a few years.
Yeah. And so has hash just been a more recent addition to your consumption?
over like the past year or so, and it's been kind of like, I don't want addiction is the wrong word, but
No, you can be addicted to it. I mean,
an obsession to say the least. Knowing
A passion.
everything about it.
It's
Yes.
a passion.
Yes.
Yeah.
Knowing everything about it that I possibly can, trying everything I possibly can, learning about every step of the washing process, how it can be most efficient, learning about every step of the pressing process, learning about every step of the curing process, how to get different consistencies. It's all just incredibly interesting, and I'd like to do it, and I would just love to be a hash maker.
That'd be fantastic. We'll keep our eyes out
Yeah.
because should be fantastic stuff.
oh man, and that's cool too, because I mean, and I think that's the difference of maybe the caliber of people that Dragonfly is picking as opposed to maybe Curaleaf. I would say that if you are getting into it, it is a job. Start doing what Alex is doing. Just dive into it.
Yeah, just
Yeah.
get in somewhere. I have made a temple ball before. I haven't made like rosin.
Temple ball.
Yeah, y'all know what a temple ball is?
No.
It's like an old school, like old school hash, like the stuff that'll pull apart like taffy.
Yeah.
Oh
It's
yeah.
like that, but rolled into a ball and wrapped in cellophane.
Okay.
And then you just let it cure for a really, really, really long time.
Interesting. How long
Whoa.
did you cure that?
It's curing.
Oh,
It's
still.
Yeah.
Okay.
still-
Yeah, it's sitting in a jar, not cellophane, but it's at least 6 months old right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How long is the curation?
I'm gonna let it sit at least a year.
Damn, that's some
Yeah.
self control, bro.
You got-
Mm.
turns into CBN, a lot of it, and it develops a really, really unique flavor profile. So something interesting is, so when you smoke hash, like hash rosin specifically, there's a very specific taste that it leaves on your tongue, a hashy taste.
Yeah.
So that comes from hashishanine, which is an evolved
terpene?
version of beta-myrcene, which forms during the hash making process, during the curing process.
Ah,
Like a fermentation.
Exactly.
interesting.
Yeah.
How far into the curing does that form?
I don't know exactly, but I just know it's part of the process.
That's wild.
Yeah.
Huh.
And then that's just where the unique flavor and the
Mhm.
unique experience comes from.
Mhm.
You age it. Dude, that's the future. You're going to be going by this
Aged
whole place.
hash.
It's just aged hash like they do with these like ink bars in Japan. You ever seen that? Like they take this,
Mm-mm.
they make the ink, it's out of like ash and all this other stuff, and then it's like a dough. It's like a bread dough, and they smash it with their feet, and then they knead this ball of ink. And then what they do is they melt it down from there, and they form it in these bricks. And that's used for their calligraphy,
Huh.
and it has to cure for 4 years before you can sell it.
Wow.
That's wild.
And
Yeah.
they're making so much. They're always busy because the traditional thing is part of their culture. So if you do calligraphy, it's not with the pen, it's with an ink and a brush. So it was crazy. I was like, so that's what would be cool if they start doing hash like that. You just go around going, oh yeah,
Like parm.
that's like
Get
4
some aged
years.
parm.
Yeah, you're like over there, it's like Parmigiano Reggiano, right?
Yeah.
You're just like,
Does it? Do you know if it degrades past CBN to another cannabinoid at a certain point? I honestly don't.
I don't either.
Yeah.
That's a good question.
I learned like obviously CBN, THCV, like over
Mhm.
time it degrades and you're left with less THC, but you got a really good sleepy time or
Yeah, that's
fantastic
something I'd
med for
never
that.
considered.
Yeah, I just wonder if past that there's another stage and maybe we'll have to go to Google and do some
Mhm.
research.
yeah,
See what we can find.
please Google,
Yeah.
help us.
Do some interweb research.
Yeah.
I don't know.
All right, guys. Well,
Oh yeah.
this was an awesome sesh. Alex, thank you for
Yeah,
visiting.
thank
and
you all for having me on. This
Yeah,
was great.
dude. Yeah, super chill, a lot of fun. Smoked a bunch of shit.